Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something kind of mind-bending.
I'd say so. This one's definitely got that future is now vibe, doesn't it?
Totally. So spatial AI, we found this article, and honestly, even skimming it, I was hooked.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It really is. We're talking about AI that gets the real world, like in 3D,
Yeah.
depth, movement, the whole bit, just like our brains do.
It's a huge leap, right? I mean, we're so used to AI being great at text, images, that 2D stuff.
Right, exactly.
But this is about bridging that gap to the physical world, bringing those two together.
Okay, so like, dumb example maybe, but my brain knows my coffee cup's on the table, not just floating randomly.
Chuckles, I get.
Is that what we're giving machines with spatial AI? That same awareness?
You got it. It's about giving them something like our spatial intelligence, knowing where stuff is in relation to other stuff, how far away, how it moves. It's how we actually live in the world, not just see a snapshot.
And it's wild to think, this whole journey towards spatial AI, it kind of started with images, right?
Hmm.
Our article mentioned this Fei Li and ImageNet. Can you unpack that a bit for us?
Absolutely. Fei Li, she's a rock star in the AI world. Her work on ImageNet back in '09, totally groundbreaking. Imagine feeding an AI millions upon millions of pictures, each one tagged, labeled cat, tree, you name it.
But like AI kindergarten, but with pics instead of those letter blocks?
Exactly. This massive data set taught AI to actually see and categorize objects in a way that was unheard of before. It was
Hmm.
huge for computer vision, like the foundation for AI to start grasping the world three-dimensionally.
Okay, so we've got AI that goes, cool, that's a stop sign from a picture. How do we get from there to like, hey, AI, don't hit that stop sign while you're driving this car?
Now that's where things get really interesting. Because spatial AI isn't just about recognizing what something is, it's knowing where it is in actual space. Its location, its relationship to the car, to other cars, pedestrians, the curb, everything. And this all has to happen in real time because, well, the world keeps moving, right?
It's kind of like the difference between looking at a map and actually like walking around a city.
Oh, yeah.
One is totally flat, the other is like you're in it, things are coming at you.
Exactly. And that's what spatial AI brings to the table, that dynamic 3D understanding of the world. And nowhere is this more apparent than in the work being done with self-driving cars.
Right. Tesla was a big one the article mentioned.
Tesla's a great example. They're using spatial AI to power their autonomous driving systems.
Okay, so walk me through this.
So picture this. Tesla vehicles, they've got all these sensors, cameras, constantly gathering 3D data about their surroundings, right? Everything around them.
Okay, so they're like driving data sponges, just soaking it all up.
Basically. And all that data gets fed into their AI systems, which learn to perceive and interpret the world much like a human driver would.
So every time one of those Teslas zooms past me on the highway, it's not just going for a spin, it's learning something.
Every single mile, it's a continuous learning process, constantly refining its understanding of how the world works in 3D.
Yeah.
It's really quite remarkable.
See, and this is what blew me away in the article, just how fast this tech is evolving. Like, remember that bit about AlexNet? I think it was back in 2012. Took, what, 6 days to train that thing?
6 days on the most powerful hardware they had back then. It was a huge accomplishment, sure, but talk about a testament to how far we've come.
Because now, how long would something like that take?
We're talking minutes now.
Minutes. It's insane. What changed? How do we get so much faster?
Processing power, that's a big chunk of it. GPUs, specialized hardware, all that has gotten ridiculously faster, even just compared to a few years ago.
Right, so it's not just that we're coming up with smarter AI, the tools are getting a mega upgrade too.
Exactly. We're giving these AI models the horsepower they need to crunch through these huge data sets, these complex 3D environments. It's like going from a horse and buggy to a freaking spaceship in terms of what we can handle now.
So we've got AI learning to see the world in 3D, but then the article goes a step further, right? It talks about world generation, like AI actually building these 3D worlds.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because we're not just talking about AI understanding what IT sees, we're talking about AI creating what we see.
I'm sorry, it's a lot to take in. So like AI as a video game designer now.
Kind of, think about it. Video games, virtual reality, they rely on these rich, immersive 3D environments, right?
Yeah.
And building those by hand, that takes forever and tons of people.
Right, every little tree, every rock.
Exactly. But with AI, we can train a model on real-world data, give it some parameters, and boom, it can generate expansive forests, sprawling cities, all with incredible detail and realism in a fraction of the time.
So instead of 100 artists, you've got like one AI and a really powerful computer.
Pretty much. And this is already happening. A lot of game developers are using AI-generated content to build out their worlds, make them bigger, more complex, more dynamic than ever before.
Okay, so AI is learning to see in 3D, even build its own 3D worlds. But how does this actually impact us, like in our everyday lives? Where's the connection?
It's already happening, believe it or not. Remember how we were talking about blurring the lines between the real and the digital? That's exactly what devices like Apple's Vision Pro are doing right now.
Oh, right, you mentioned that earlier. It's like a super-powered smartphone.
It's more like strapping a mini computer to your face, but yeah. The Vision Pro uses this thing called spatial computing, which lets it seamlessly blend digital stuff with your actual surroundings.
Okay, so I'm wearing this thing.
Yeah.
Then what? What makes it so different from, say, those AR apps where you see, like, a Pokemon in your living room?
Think next level immersion. Imagine you put on the Vision Pro and suddenly you're surrounded by virtual screens, 3D objects you can poke and prod, all while still being able to see and move around your living room. It's like stepping into the future without actually leaving your house.
Okay, now that sounds impressive. A lot more than just a Pokemon hanging out on my coffee table.
Exactly. And the applications go way beyond just fun and games. Imagine getting turn-by-turn directions that are literally woven into your view, guiding you through the streets. Or picture visiting a historical landmark and seeing a 3D model of what it looked like centuries ago, right there in front of you.
It's like an invisible layer of information laid over the real world, like having X-ray vision,
Yeah.
but for anything you want to learn about.
That's a great way to put it. And the crazy thing is, we're still just scratching the surface of what's possible with spatial AI. This tech has the potential to revolutionize how we work, how we learn, how we play, even how we interact with each other.
It's not just about the tech itself, but what it allows us to do, right? Like, we've invented this amazing hammer, and now we're figuring out all the cool stuff we can build with it.
Absolutely. We're at this incredible point where the possibilities are practically endless. The most exciting advancements are probably still ahead of us, which is kind of mind-blowing to think about.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around. We started with AI, learning to see the world like we do, and now we're talking about a future where our reality is basically mixed with incredibly detailed digital elements, and it's all thanks to spatial AI.
A future with endless dimensions, you could say. And for what you can do with this knowledge, well, that's the exciting part. Keep your eyes open, pay attention to the tech that's emerging around you, because who knows, you might just end up being one of the people building this future.
There you go, folks. What a thought. And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the world of spatial AI. Certainly some mind-blowing stuff to ponder.
Until next time.